Have you ever asked someone, "Are you okay?" and they smiled, looked at you, and simply said, "I'm fine." But something about their voice told you they weren't. Maybe they were quieter than usual. Maybe they stopped replying as quickly. Maybe they laughed when everyone else laughed. But their eyes looked completely different. Sometimes, the people who say, "I'm fine," the most are the people who have become the best at hiding what they actually feel. But why? Why would someone hide their pain instead of talking about it? Let's meet someone named Alex. One evening, Alex comes home after a terrible day. Something happened at work. A friend disappointed him. And on top of that, he has been carrying a personal problem he hasn't told anyone about. His mother notices something is wrong. She asks, "Everything okay?" Alex smiles, "I'm fine." And that should have been the end of it. But later that night, Alex sits alone in his room. The smile disappears. His phone goes down. And suddenly, everything he was holding back starts coming back. This is where the psychology gets interesting. Because saying "I'm fine" isn't always a lie. Sometimes it's a defense mechanism. Here are 7 things people may hide behind those 2 words. Number 1, they don't want to become a burden. Some people learned early that their problems are theirs to handle. They watched their parents struggle without complaining. They saw people around them dealing with difficult situations. So they learned a simple rule. Everyone has problems. I should handle mine myself. As they grow older, asking for help can feel uncomfortable. Not because they don't need it, but because they don't want someone else to worry about them. So when you ask, "Are you okay?" they say, "I'm fine." Not because everything is fine, but because they don't want their pain to become someone else's responsibility. Sometimes, the strongest looking person in the room is simply the person who has become extremely good at carrying things alone. Number 2, they don't know how to explain what they feel. Imagine feeling overwhelmed, angry, disappointed, tired, lonely, and confused all at the same time. What exactly are you supposed to say? I'm sad? I'm angry? I'm stressed? Sometimes none of those words feel completely right. Psychology recognizes that some people struggle to identify and describe emotions. This difficulty exists on a spectrum and can make emotional conversations extremely difficult. So instead of explaining a complicated emotional mess, they choose the easiest sentence available. I'm fine. 2 words. Conversation over. No explanation required. Number 3, they're afraid that opening up will change how you see them. Some people don't hide their emotions because they're ashamed of having them. They hide them because they're afraid of what happens after they reveal them. They might think, "What if they think I'm weak? What if they judge me? What if I tell them everything and they don't understand? Or even worse, what if they use it against me later?" So they keep the vulnerable parts hidden. They become funny, helpful, calm, independent. They become the person everyone goes to when they need advice. But when it's their turn to need someone, they disappear. Because being needed can feel safer than being vulnerable. And sometimes, the person who gives everyone advice is secretly wishing someone would ask, "But how are you doing?" Number 4, they've learned to hide emotions. Think about a child who starts crying. Maybe someone tells them, "Stop crying. Be strong. There's nothing to cry about." The child eventually learns something. Showing emotion creates discomfort, so they stop showing it. They grow up. And now, when something hurts, their automatic response is not to talk, it's to suppress. They feel something, push it down, continue their day, smile, work, joke, sleep. Eventually, everyone assumes they're okay, but the emotion didn't disappear. It was simply pushed somewhere they couldn't see it. That's why someone can look completely normal while internally feeling exhausted. Number 5, they need time before they can talk. Not everyone processes emotions out loud. Some people need silence first. They need to understand what happened. They replay the conversation. They sort through what they actually felt. They ask themselves, "Why did that hurt me? Am I angry? Was I disappointed? Did I expect too much?" Only after processing everything can they finally explain it. So when you immediately ask, "What's wrong?" they may genuinely not know how to answer. "I'm fine," Give them a little time. Maybe tomorrow they'll tell you everything. Some people think by talking. Others think before talking. Neither automatically means they care more or less. Number 6. They've stopped expecting people to understand. Imagine opening up to someone once. You explain how you feel, and instead of understanding you, they dismiss it. Maybe they say, "You're overreacting," or "Other people have bigger problems." So the next time something happens, you stay quiet. Not because you have nothing to say, but because you already know what you expect to hear. Over time, this can create emotional self-reliance. You solve things alone. You recover alone. And eventually, "I'm fine" becomes your default answer. Not because you trust everyone, but because you've learned not to expect much from anyone. Number 7. They're hoping someone will notice. This may be the most misunderstood one. Sometimes "I'm fine" doesn't mean "leave me alone." Sometimes it quietly means "I don't know how to ask for help." They might secretly hope someone asks again. Not aggressively, not with pressure, just gently. "Are you sure? You seem a little different today. You don't have to talk about it, but I'm here." That kind of question can feel completely different because it doesn't demand vulnerability. It simply creates a safe place for it. Think about Alex again. The next morning, his friend notices something is off. Instead of asking, "What's wrong with you?" he simply says, "You've been quiet lately." You don't have to explain anything, but if you ever want to talk, "I'm here." Alex says nothing, he just nods. But later that evening, he finally starts talking. Not because his problems magically disappeared, not because someone gave him the perfect advice, but because, for the first time in a while, he didn't feel like he had to hide them. And that's the important lesson. When someone says, "I'm fine," don't automatically assume they're lying. And don't assume they're secretly broken either. Sometimes they really are fine. But sometimes "I'm fine" is simply the easiest answer when the real answer feels too complicated. So pay attention to the little things. The person who suddenly becomes quiet. The friend who jokes whenever conversations become emotional. The person who is always helping everyone else but never asks for help. The person who says, "Nothing's wrong," while clearly carrying something heavy. You don't have to force them to open up. Sometimes, the best thing you can do is simply create a safe space. Ask once, ask gently, and let them know they don't have to pretend around you. Because behind some of the calmest faces, there are stories nobody has heard yet. And behind some of the most common words, "I'm fine," there may be a much longer sentence waiting to be spoken. If this video made you think about someone in your life, or maybe even yourself, remember this. You don't always have to be strong, you don't always have to explain everything, and you definitely don't have to carry everything alone. Sometimes saying, "I'm not okay," isn't weakness. It's the beginning of being honest with yourself, and sometimes that's where healing begins. Subscribe to Psylogic Lane for more psychology that makes everyday human behavior finally make sense.